Good evening. Welcome to the Red Bank Council meeting for July 24th, 2019. It is now 6:32. Notice that this meeting is being held in accordance with the public laws of 1975, Chapter 231. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by notice sent to the Asbury Park Press, the River Times, and Star Ledger, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal building and on the municipal website. Please rise in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. One brief roll call, yeah.
Councilman Yassin?
Here.
Councilman Triviano?
Here.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Here.
Councilman Ballard?
Here.
Councilman Zipridge?
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Here.
Thank you, we're all here. One brief procedural announcement, because there may be some people who may have an interest, so perhaps this will address the issue that you may be here on. I know that there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of exchanges of information, a lot of colloquy with respect to the proposed ordinance 2019-26, which is on the agenda for public hearing and adoption. For those of you who can't read my mind, I will tell you what that ordinance is. It's the ordinance authorizing the acquisition, it's an ordinance creating Chapter 680, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 680-62, Schedule 28, alternate side parking. That particular proposed ordinance has gone through a number of different revisions. It's gone through a lot of comment. We certainly have entertained a lot of comments, and in between council meetings, there's been a lot of exchange between residents, DPW, and our professional staff, and also police department. It is my understanding that there's going to be a recommendation with respect to that ordinance tonight, which I will entertain in a few seconds, but I wanted the public to know that the proposed ordinance and any solutions that would have been deriving from that ordinance were to meet a genuine and real public interest concern that we have. And that is that we all have to be greater stewards of our environment. And part of that means that we have to keep catch basins as well as other areas free and clear of debris that pollute the waterways and other access points that are environmentally sensitive. Part of that is to keep streets clean and to make it easy and accessible for the Department of Public Works to make sure that they do their job, which is a challenging job, and they do it very well. But it is a job that is challenging because Red Bank, unlike some other adjacent municipalities, is fraught with a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities. And one of those challenges, we have very narrow streets. We have a lot of parking on those streets, and sometimes people don't have sufficient parking. So we have to come up with a solution that protects the environment, at the same time treats our residents fairly and equally in all sectors of town to make sure that their streets are swept and made clean, and also make it safe and efficient for our employees who work under extremely difficult circumstances and conditions, who are our public works employees. So that's what was behind this scheme. It was not any ulterior scheme to make it difficult for people or a revenue generator or anything else that I've read on blog sites. Very altruistic public policy consideration. However, in light of the substantial comments that have been generated, it would seem that it would be a better use of the council's time to consider the comments that have been proposed, and also to entertain a motion this evening on ordinance 2019-26, which would be a motion to reject the ordinance as proposed and thereby killing the ordinance. Yeah, 25 and 26 have to be read together because one is just the schedule and the other one is the ordinance. So at the same time, I would encourage, and I know that I've spoken to individual council members, and the proposal would be that we would entertain a motion to dismiss the ordinance or vote no on the ordinance, and that there would be an interdevelopmental group consisting of DPW, the police department, our administrator, obviously, the DPW employee in charge of street cleaning as well as maintenance of roadways, the commissioner of DPW, myself, and traffic safety, perhaps even our engineer, to have further discussions, bring back to the council some reasonable alternative to that proposal at a future date, and the public will be informed. So having said that, is there a motion on ordinances 2019-25 and 2019-26 to reject the ordinance? So second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Yassin?
Just to be clear, yes, means we're rejecting.
To vote?
Yes.
Reject, yes.
Councilman Triano?
Yes.
Councilman Yingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Zipprich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
The ordinances are officially rejected.
Mayor, I just wanted to thank members of the public who have contacted myself and other members of the council regarding this ordinance. As I said in the early part of staging this, it needed to be tweaked. The mayor pointed out that we will refer it back to an interdepartmental committee, and then we would certainly entertain it once again with the Public Works Committee and either bring it back or kill it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving on, we have a number of proclamations, announcements, and presentations. One is an extraordinary initiative that Councilwoman Trigiano, as well as our police department and municipal court staff, through the our court administrator and stellar judge, have come up with. So I will turn it over to Kate, which is the volunteer translator program of our community.
Good evening, everybody. So as the mayor just stated, this is a volunteer translator program for the police department. This is something that we started working on back in January. These will be translators that are available for the police and also as a service through the police department for community events in town. I just want to thank, before he says a few words, Lieutenant Sardo for his hard work on this program, and of course our Chief of Police, who is always looking to reinvent and to basically bring progress to our town and our police department. I believe this might be the first program of its type in the state. I don't know if you confirmed that, but I've searched around. The program is based on one we found in Houston, Texas, which is one of the most diverse cities in the country. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what all these wonderful volunteers are going to do. Not everybody can make it to the first training, but thank you so much, Boris, Aidsel, Chris, Renee, Carla, and Ritza. Your service to our town is greatly appreciated. And I think Lieutenant Sardo had a few words that he'd like to share, and Carlo, one of our translators, is going to translate for him.
Thank you.
Welcome, Lieutenant.
Thank you, Mayor.
Bienvenidos this noche.
Muchas gracias. If you don't mind, Mayor, I also wrote a little bit about their initiative.
Please, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the residents of the town where I grew up in and where I've served as a police officer for the last 22 years. I'd like to thank the mayor and council for their support with these two initiatives, as well as Kate for inspiring us with the Communicators on Patrol initiative. And we have a translator here.
Me gustaría darles gracias por darme esta oportunidad para hacer este programa y he estado en este pueblo, he estado sirviendo por 22 años aquí en el Departamento de Policía de Redmond. Me gustaría darle gracias al jefe, a los alcaldes, a los consejeros en esta comunidad de comunitario de la policía.
Creating programs that create unity in our community is key as diversity needs increase. The chaplaincy program and the communicator program will help foster the relationship the police department needs in order to achieve unity.
Estos programas crean unidad en nuestra comunidad y es una gran llave de la diversidad que necesitamos. El chaplaincy program y el programa de tripuladores va a ayudar a la realización del departamento de policía que necesitamos.
No one is confronted with more situations that are demoralizing or create emotional, mental, and spiritual burdens than today's law enforcement officer. These burdens also affect the officer's families and other members of his or her department. Law enforcement agencies need the specialized guidance, counseling, and assistance for their officers, families, and communities.
Nadie más ha estado confrontado con las situaciones de la demografía que estamos creyendo emocionalmente, mentalmente, espiritualmente hoy en los departamentos de policía de los oficiales. Estos dolores pueden ser creados en las familias de los oficiales y los miembros del departamento de policía. El departamento de policía, la agencia ha estado especialmente guidelines y asistidos por las policías y las familias de la comunidad.
A law enforcement chaplain is a clergy with special interest and training for providing pastoral care in a high-powered and dangerous world of law enforcement. This pastoral care is offered to all people regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, national origin, creed, or religion. It's offered without cost and without the taint of proselytizing.
El departamento de ley ha creado un programa para pastores que han sido entrenados para dar cuando necesita a alguien para las personas y no va a ser excluido, no importa tu raza, tu sexo, tu orientación, tu nacionalidad o qué religión tú crees, es ofrecida gratis.
The law enforcement chaplain is led in his or her own faith to be available and ready to serve those in need. The chaplain's ministry provides a source of strength to law enforcement officers and their families, other department members, the community, and the incarcerated.
Este programa de los pastores de cualquier fe que tú tienes van a estar siendo probadas y este es para que da más fuerza al departamento de policía, para las familias, los oficiales y los miembros del departamento, la comunidad.
The law enforcement officer's clergy or religious advisor in private life, although trained in ministry, is not necessarily abreast of the particular problems and dangers facing officers.
Este departamento de policía desde la religión advisor va a ser privada de su vida y no es necesario para particulares problemas y si algo está en peligro.
Chaplains listen and participate in the workplace of law enforcement officers with empathy and experience, advising calmly in the midst of turmoil and danger, and offering assistance when appropriate or when requested.
Los chaplains escuchan cuando los departamentos de policía se necesitan para escucharte cuando lo necesitan.
The Police Communicator Program is another program that will help in building bridges between the police and the community. Its purpose is to establish a volunteer communicator program utilizing citizens interested in aiding the police and communicating with various cultures, ethnicities, and other groups that may otherwise have difficulty in communicating.
El programa de transladores en la comunidad es un programa que va a ayudar a personas que necesitan hablar en español para los policías y la comunidad, y el gran purpose es para que hayan los ciudadanos que están interesados que puedan dar ese servicio para hablar en español con los policías.
I myself am originally from Venezuela, South America. I came to this great country, the United States of America, when I was 6 years old. And I'm not just Hispanic or Latino, but I'm also an immigrant.
Yo soy originaria de Venezuela, de South America, y yo vine a esta gran nación, a los Estados Unidos, cuando tenía 6 años. Y no soy no hispano ni latino, también soy un inmigrante. Cuando vine a los Estados Unidos, yo tampoco no podía hablar inglés, pero como muchos residentes, yo que está acá en Redmond, tuve que aprender la cultura y el lenguaje.
When I first came to America, I couldn't speak English. And like many of the residents that make up the demographics of Red Bank, I had to adapt to a new culture and language. She got ahead of me. I know that we face many challenges as Hispanics or Latinos, and even greater challenges as immigrants and speakers of the second language.
Yo sé que hay muchas barreras como hispanos y latinos, y también como inmigrantes, pero no voy a hacer que estas barreras de mi raza o de mi cultura o de mi religión.
But I'm here to tell you that you should never put barriers between any groups of people, regardless of their race, cultural background, religion, or sexual orientation. There isn't any space for xenophobia, racism, bigotry, negative stereotypes, or ethnocentrism.
No hay espacio acá por nada de racismo o cualquier cosa negativa o estereotipo.
So with that being said, I'm excited for the program. I'm thankful to everyone who's participating in it, and I look forward to getting these programs going. Thank you for your time. Translate that.
Él está muy emocionado por este programa y le quiero dar gracias a todos.
I just want to note that the piece of paper in front of her was in English. So that was a great job, Carla. Thank you so much.
Gracias por su servicio a nuestra comunidad común. So translate that.
Thank you for your service in the community.
Our mutual community.
Yes.
See, he wouldn't certify as an official translator.
I don't know.
He missed a word.
I'm taking typewritten statements.
No, thank you on behalf of all of us. It is a unique program, and it is a program which we've never had, and many municipalities, I'm sure, have never even thought of doing it. So you're making us very proud. Very proud of what you do, very proud of what we stand for, and I like Lieutenant Sardo came here not speaking English either, and I was an immigrant, and I'm proud of that. We'll always be proud of that. So thank you for what you do.
And I want to thank Councilwoman Tridiano for taking the big step to do this, and thank you. We need more people like you for public service like this. Thanks. You're going to do great.
Okay. Next we have the Community Development Block Grant presentation and public hearing. Sian, you're going to be handling that?
Yes, Mayor. We also have Steve from CME to assist. The TV will just come on, but before all of you, Mayor and Council, is a concept plan for the Community Development Block Grant application with Monmouth County. For the benefit of the public, the CDBG grant is extended to Community Development Block Grant, and that is the administration of funds from the Federal Housing and Urban Development Program, as everybody knows it by. And what we are proposing, after discussions with a few folks on our internal team, Public Works, Recreation, consulting with you as well, what we felt would be best for this proposed grant application is a revitalization project over at Johnny Jazz Park. The reason that was selected also is because under CDBG guidelines, you're limited geographically based on the demographics and the need within the community, and so CDBG publishes a map for every municipality that says this is where these funds can be utilized. They can be utilized for a variety of things, but primarily in areas to benefit folks with low and moderate income, some areas with slums and blight perhaps, or areas in need of community development needs, folks that qualify also include senior citizens, as well as public lands and parks. And so Johnny Jazz Park, based on its condition, we felt would make an excellent candidate for a revitalization project. All the activities and the funds for which you apply for have to fit very defined criteria under CDBG guidelines, such as things like public facilities, community revitalization, or some development that leverages private investment for the public good. The concept plan that's before you is just that. It's strictly a concept plan for the purposes of submitting a grant to the county. So certain elements within this can be moved around. And what we've included in here, I'll just run down the program real quick. What we've included down here comes up to the maximum amount under the CDBG grant funding that we're eligible for, and that's $200,000. It is not a matching grant, so whatever we receive from here, we do not have to match unless we want to add additional features beyond what's proposed. Some of the items that are in this, okay, and this is in keeping with the idea and the theme and the spirit of the community for which Johnny Jazz Park was named after, and promoting music, culture, and arts. We've had concerts over the past over at that park, and we want to be able to continue to do that. We want to be able to continue to make this park a beautiful park that's keeping up with the times. So what we've proposed here is a stage platform, not a full theater stage, a semicircle stage platform that will elevate performers, whether it's musicians or performing arts, as well as a walkway up and steps up the stage. We've also proposed a number of ADA. That is one of the items that CDBG funds and likes to focus on is ADA enhancements. That's Americans with Disabilities Act, to make sure that the park is accessible. So in this design, we wanted to make sure that everything here in this park was barrier-free. So we've got ADA sidewalks throughout, and we also have some ADA sidewalks that both give you access through the park and up to the stage as well. What we've done also is added some lighting. So there's some single pole mounted LED luminaires. We're also re-landscaping the area around the electronic marquee board sign, and we're putting some engineered wood fiber mulch around some play equipment. And the play equipment is specifically musical type equipment. So what we've put in there are, and they're designed specifically for parks, goblet drums, a kundo drum, a kettle drum, and a metallophone. We have a catalog of what those might look like, but they are large structures, very colorful, very bright, and they're great for kids to come there and play with them. And they're in this engineered wood fiber area, so that way it's safe for children of all ages. We're keeping the water refill station that's there already, and up sort of following the perimeter, the outside perimeters of the park, and creating a semicircle to follow that sidewalk is a seating wall. Right now, folks that come to the park either have to bring their own seats or they've got to sit on the lawn. And by having a seating wall along the park, it gives people a little bit of comfort, so they don't have to sit on the ground. What we're also proposing is, because the stage will take place of some of the landscaping, we're proposing landscaping around the perimeter. And we're also proposing to plant a nice evergreen tree that will continue to be able to be used for holiday lightings for future years. So in a nutshell, that comes out to be about $200,000, which is what we're proposing to Monmouth County CDBG grant program. And I'll open that up to any questions. Steve, did I miss anything?
Nope.
Okay. Any
Do any members of the council have any questions at this point?
Yeah, I had a question, because I'm looking at the plan. So we're removing the shade trees and the existing Christmas tree or holiday trees?
Some of the trees are remaining, Councilman, so there are some trees that are marked with an X. Those are remaining. There are some that are removed because we're creating more of an open lawn, and we are, so that tree will be, the existing holiday tree is right where this walkway leading up to the stage presently is. So that's why what we're proposing to do is plant an evergreen right behind the sign, so it's also more visible from the street. So when it's decorated for the holidays, you can see it from the street. It'll silhouette the sign a little bit more nicely.
And there are currently benches in the park. I imagine at some point we would repurpose those and reuse them, since the adjacent senior community right now uses it because it is a passive park. They sit on those benches
Yes.
rather than on the grass or anywhere else. All right, thanks.
Yes.
Any other members of the council?
On the western edge of the park,
Yes.
you know, there are homes out there. So right now there are trees, are you shrubbery? Right?
The existing shrub row is going to remain according to this plan.
Okay, so there's no plan for like a soundproof wall or anything to.
There is
The
not.
shrubbery will continue to be the soundproof.
Correct.
Any other members of the council? If not, any members of the public have any questions?
Council.
Please come up, state your name, your address, and your inquiry.
Is this it?
Bottom.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Hold it in
We could have
first.
heard you before, I think you turned it off.
Hello, my name's Alan Hill. I live on the east side, and this is a very, very nice development.
Can I get your address?
Oh, yeah, 64 McLaren Street, on the corner of William. Okay, I just want to know, I really look forward to this happening. It's a very nice scheme. I want to know what's happening on the east side park, where that figures in the
We'll talk
the
about
council's
We'll talk
development.
about that a little bit later in the meeting.
You will talk about that a little bit later?
Yes.
Then I'll be coming back to you.
Oh, I know. Mr. Poku?
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. William Poku, 90 Bank Street. Several months ago, I proposed to Mayor and Council that that park should have some kind of a plaque, you know, where Dr. James Parker's, Stafford Thompson, and a whole bunch of other people, Freddie Boynton, all these native-born folks, maybe perhaps the first ever black African-American council in the past 3 decades. Something that people will aspire to, you know, so a plaque in there.
Whatever happened to Reverend Scott, who was the first elected African-American
He
on the
too.
council 30 years ago? You're looking at Michael.
Right. Well, I don't know about Michael, but it took a while for him to get on there. And then perhaps you too. You know, this is not just a race-based, but I think a plaque there, you know, that has all these memorable names would cause, you know, the kids growing up to aspire to someday get in there. And you never know, maybe I might get there too.
There are different ways to get there, Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else? Yes, of course.
Boris Kaufman, 28 Riverside Avenue. Before this gets actually implemented, will the advisory committees have a chance to comment?
Yes, so the first step is we want to get a grant application. There's a very limited window for the deadlines and in the process. If we get approved, then we'll go forward to the next phase of design and community engagement.
Thank you.
This is just the first step of the community engagement.
Ethel Brandon, 12 Bank Street, Red Bank. I just wanted to know, will there be bathrooms eventually put in that park?
Under this plan, no. I don't know about the future. We can explore that certainly, and run that by the mayor and council in terms of whether it'll fit there and how that might affect the development of the park.
Okay, thank you.
Ben?
So I take it there would be an opportunity to have like a more detailed hearing on this in
Your
the future?
name and
And
address.
R16 Locust Avenue, Red Bank, New Jersey.
Yes, there will be. This is just a preliminary, get the plan in.
And I think Ed asked about it, Councilman, but I want to make sure. So the nice, beautiful Christmas tree that's there will be taken down as part of this. Okay.
Unless we change alter some of the plans based on that feedback. But under this concept plan, yes, that's why the evergreen has been relocated, or new evergreen is proposed to be planted, so that way it's not obstructing the view of the stage and the ADA accessible walkway up to the stage.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else with respect? Yes, Allison.
Allison Gregory, 109 Bank Street. Hoping maybe you'll consider a partial fence on the Shrewsbury Avenue side, since it's a really busy intersection with kids and you have concerts, people, it's hard.
You're referring to a fence over here, Ms. Gregory?
Right, yeah, because I mean, it's a very busy road. I mean, as is West Front Street, but you have Riverside Gardens Park, people are kind of in the park, not really close to the road, not much barrier there. So.
That wasn't envisioned in this. What we did not want to do is cut off access to people walking into the park to sort of only funnel them through a place. But that's also why we put the seating wall in the way that we did, so that way that acts as a little bit of a barrier, and then you have some of these trees that are planted in the shrubbery. So we use some living plants and landscaping to create some of that buffer.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate that consideration.
Anybody else? Okay, motion to close the public hearing. So, second. All in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to authorize the submission of CDGB application to the county and move forward on the application subject to further public hearing? Motion. So moved. Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're filing the application. Any members of the public have any comments on any agenda items only? If not, motion to close. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to workshop meeting minutes. Motion to approve the minutes of June 5th. Motion. Moved. Second. All in favor? Aye.
I abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay. Motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 19th. Motion. Second. All in favor?
I abstain, I wasn't here for that either.
Mr. Mayor, it looks like someone wanted to speak on agenda items and didn't understand the process.
Okay, well, let's finish the minutes and I'll get back to you in a second, okay? Motion to approve the executive session minutes of January through June, inclusive of January 9th, February 6th, February 27th, March 13th to 27th, April 3, 10, and 24th, May 1, 8, 22, and June 19th. Motion. Second.
I'm sorry, I don't know the question. I know I missed some meetings. I'm not sure if there's executive sessions at those meetings. So how do I vote?
Abstain on everything.
You guys,
Other than the abstention, all in favor?
I have to abstain on June 19th because
Sure.
I wasn't here.
All right. Getting back to the agenda items, ma'am, you have a question on an agenda item? Come on up. Your name and address, please.
My name is Marie Mumford. I live at 62 South Street in Red Bank. And unfortunately, I don't come to.
Just use the microphone.
Yeah, use the microphone.
I don't come to a lot of meetings, so I didn't understand when you closed it that was closed.
It's the one on the table.
The other one.
Table.
the other one.
All right, let's leave her alone. She was doing fine.
I actually came because I was worried about the alternate street parking.
We voted on it as well.
I did, so I was very happy with that. But as I don't come that often, I did download the agenda, and I found out something that I just didn't understand about a green roof. So when you closed the meeting, I didn't understand if you could explain to me what the green roof idea is, that it can only be now, according to how I read it, forthcoming for any new buildings or additions. I just needed it explained.
First of all, it would apply. It's ordinance 2019-36, and it says that new buildings or additions with more than 5,000 square feet of new roof area shall provide a minimum of 25% of the roof area as a green roof, which is an architectural as well as environmental design. It says that on any buildings that do so will receive a certain credit in terms of lot coverage. Just as I understand it, is intended for commercial dwellings and multi. It doesn't normally apply to a single family.
Oh, all right, that's what I didn't
Your home on
understand.
South Street will not,
Yeah, I
the
saw
garden on top, Tivoli Gardens will not exist on South Street.
Oh, thank you. I didn't understand what it was about, and
Unless you want to put it in, you might be an attraction.
no, I get birds and pigeons. I wouldn't get the good stuff. But I was worried that going forward, that this is what would happen to, example, the new V&A project. Would they have to have a green roof?
Well, they're proposing a LEED type building, which is a special building that has environmental characteristics to it. So most industrial design projects going forward, such as the project, the rail project on Chestnut and Oakland Street, will have rooftop gardens for its residents. It's a benefit which most builders in larger projects think it's favorable. Certainly environmentally, it's very productive.
Oh, I went online and found out what it was. I was just confused at how it was going to be implemented in Red Bank.
And if they do that, they're asking for a little bit of a bonus in terms of trying to do that. So it wouldn't affect a single family home.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. And I apologize because I didn't understand. If I didn't raise my hand right away, it was
Well, it's a pleasure
over. A
seeing
nice
you.
gentleman over there told me what to do.
I'm going to have to tell Danny that she showed up at the wrong time of the day.
Oh, don't do that. I'll never hear the end of it.
Okay, let's move back on to, I'm going to suggest to the council, please listen carefully, and we'll save everybody a lot of time. My proposal is on the following, that we move en masse the following ordinances, and I'll explain why in a second. Ordinance 2019-29 regarding Block 30, Lot 1201. Ordinance 2019-30 regarding Block 30, Lot 42. Ordinance 2019-31 regarding Block 30.01, Lot 14. Ordinance 2019-32 regarding Block 30.01, Lot 25. Ordinance 2019-33 regarding Block 30.01, Lot 28. And Ordinance 2019-34 regarding Block 30.01, Lot 36. These are all ordinances with respect to various lots that are granting us easements for the undertaking of the improvements on English Plaza and Emmanuel Court. So they're all the same ordinances. We finally secured approval of the property owners, and we should move them up en masse since they are the same. So is there a motion to move them? By the way, first of all, this is a public hearing, so I just want to explain what we're doing. So if any members of the public have any questions on any of these ordinances for these lots, now is the time to come up and ask. Any members of the public have any questions on these?
I have a question.
Yes. You're not a public. Mr. Poku.
Yes. All right. Mr. Mayor, could you kindly explain, maybe just for the layman, a little bit about what this easement is about. I mean, my understanding of easement is that the property owner is granting a right to the government.
That is correct. That's what I just said. The property owners have consented to grant the borough of Red Bank and River Center the opportunity and the benefit of improving certain parts of their property that front on or are contiguous to the parking lots on English Plaza and the Manual Court, permitting us to pave or do whatever we have to do in those lots. And they're saying you can do it.
All right. So, in that respect, in the previous meeting, I mentioned that some easement issues on Bank Street, for instance.
We're not dealing with an ordinance issue on Bank Street. We're dealing with these easements. That's the only thing on the table right now. You can save your comments on something else.
Save it for the general meet. What you got? General.
It's not an agenda item. Have a seat, Mr. Poco. Thank you. Next. Any other members? Okay. Motion to close? Second. All in favor? Motion to adopt all of the ordinances. And there's a second? Roll call.
Councilman Yassin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Triviano?
Yes.
Councilman Ballard?
Yes.
Councilman Engstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zimbrich? Councilwoman Horgan?
Yes.
All right, the ordinances are adopted. Then we'll move on to first reading. With all public hearings on these first readings will be on August 21, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. The first is ordinance 2019-35, amending and supplementing Chapter 490 of the Planning Development Regulations with respect to driveways from 1- and 2-family dwellings and prohibiting pavement on other than driveways and parking areas. Motion to introduce. Second. All in favor? Ordinance 2019-36, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 490 of the Planning and Development Regulations regarding green roofs as inquired to by Marie Mumford. Motion. Second. All in favor? Ordinance 2019-37, ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 490 of the Planning and Development Regulations regarding the stormwater management and control plan for the borough of Red Bank. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-38, ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 490 of the Planning and Development Regulations regarding stormwater recharge elements in new parking lots. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-39, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of a permanent easement affecting 25 Vista Place, Block 13, Lot 16, from the owner thereof for the purpose of memorializing and recording the location and authority for a pre-existing borough-owned drainage pipe on Vista Place. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-40, an ordinance supplementing the revised general ordinance of the borough of Red Bank to insert Chapter 297 common carrier drop boxes and to regulate the placement of existing and future common carrier drop boxes in near and upon the streets, sidewalks, and roadways of Red Bank. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-41, an ordinance supplementing the borough's revised general ordinance to insert new Chapter 492, plastics and polystyrene foam single use, to prohibit the use and distribution of single-use plastic bags, plastic straws, and polystyrene foam containers by businesses. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ordinance 219-42, supplementing the borough's revised general ordinance to insert new Chapter 302, construction cranes, to regulate the operation and use of cranes within the borough. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? We're going to call this the Councilman Yassin ordinance. Ordinance 2019-43, an ordinance authorizing the leasing of certain capital equipment by the borough of Red Bank, New Jersey, for the Monmouth County Improvement Authority in the execution of a lease and agreement regarding thereto. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-44, amending the revised general ordinance of the borough to revise section 680-35, Schedule I, under section 690 and 680, parking and traffic, to prohibit parking on the north side of Earl Street for 150 feet from the intersection of Shrewsbury Avenue. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ordinance 2019-45. Oh, okay. Those are specific ordinances. Now listen carefully, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the ordinances on the easement. For the following ordinances, they are general ordinance easements, which are going to be for a first reading. The public hearing will be at a later date, on August 21, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. They are for a continuation of the property owners who did not respond prior to the time that the agenda was filed. The property owners have consented on English Plaza, as well as a manual court for the dedication of their properties with respect to the improvements that will be made. So these are general ordinances that all deal with the same thing on English Street, English Plaza, and a manual court. So the following ordinances are being asked to move on MAS are for that same purpose, or Ordinance 2019-45 for Block 30.01, Lot 15. Ordinance 2019-46 for Block 30.01, Lot 1501. Ordinance 2019-47 for Block 30.01, Lot 38. Ordinance 2019-48 for Block 30.01, Lot 31. Ordinance 2019-49 for Block 30.01, Lot 32. Ordinance 2019-50 for Block 30.01, Lot 26. Ordinance 2019-51 for Block 30.01, Lot 26.01. Ordinance 2019-52 for Block 30.01, Lot 27. Ordinance 2019-53 for Block 30.01, Lot 29. Ordinance 2019-54 for Block 30.01, Lot 30. And Ordinance 2019-55 for Block 30.01, Lot 38. Motion to introduce all of those ordinances returning on August 21st. Motion. So moved. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Just an editorial comment, if I may, on behalf of all of the council. Most of you have been sitting here for the past 5 minutes saying, does that guy ever drink? I probably will need a drink after this night, but I don't have water up here, so raspy, that's the reason. But more importantly, what I really want to say is that one former council person said that recently in a well-read blog site that the person feels that Red Bank is becoming a municipality that has nothing better to do than adopt regulations and move forward with regulations into sort of like a socialist state. Well, let me just correct that learned friend and former colleague and many others who have the same thoughts. Resolutions that we just introduced, such as the resolution concerning the driveways, the resolution concerning the green roofs, the water management system, the stormwater recharge system, the acquisition of easements with respect to easements that we've been using that have never been perfected, the ordinance with respect to common drop-off box, which have been springing up all over town and we can't regulate, and they're a threat and to the pedestrians, frankly. The resolution with respect to plastics. These are all good government regulated resolutions. This is good government at work. I mean, we can't kick the can much further down and say, well, somebody else is going to take care of our problem. So these are housekeeping items, and yes, we're going to be aggressively moving forward on looking at the code book and coming up with aggressive ordinances that deal with a modern management and compact municipalities such as we have. And like I said, we're on the cutting edge on something else, the crane ordinance. And that's good government at work. I mean, we're looking around, seeing a lot of cranes, and frankly, there's no regulation on them. And I think the public ought to be regulated. People who use the cranes ought to be regulated. And the people who walk on the sidewalks ought to be regulated. So this is good government at work. it's not socialism at work. It's people doing what they're supposed to be doing. Probably what we should have been doing for 100 years, but thank you.
And Mayor, if I might add, I wanted to thank Councilwoman Trigiano for spearheading some of those plastic issues. They're of extreme environmental concern, and I know prior to my coming on to this council, there was an effort to restrict plastic bags, and everybody sort of scoffed at that. But if we had had what Kate has ushered through, we might have been a little further ahead of the game. And as far as the fact that we had that horrific storm on Monday night, I think the effort to control in a more modern fashion the amount of rainwater that comes down during these stormwater events will be to the benefit of every redneck. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to resolutions 19-175, payment of bills amounting to $3,167,244.03. Michael? I'll move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Resolution 19-176, amending the retirement date for Rosa Brown. Motion? So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Resolution 19-176.
Excuse me, Mayor, can we do these in months or no?
I'm sorry?
Can we do these all?
Unfortunately, we're going to be bouncing back and forth, so I'm going to try to lump them together, but the way they're printed here, you basically need a magnifying glass to figure out what's going on. Resolution ratifying confirming the appointment of full-time water and sewer operator.
So moved.
Second? Resolutions 19-1. All in favor? Yeah. Resolution 178, amending the time and place of Borough Council meeting. Resolution 19-179, authorizing the extension of grace period on taxes. Resolution 19-180, requesting approval of special item of revenue and appropriating therefore with respect to the tonnage grant application of $16,243.41. Motion to approve those resolutions. So second. All in favor? Resolution 19-181, a resolution authorizing a place-to-place transfer of plenty retail distribution license for Eric Cho Incorporated, trading as Red Bank Liquors. Any members of the public wish to be heard on the place-to-place transfer of this liquor license? Seeing none, motion to approve the resolution? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. One abstention, Councilman Nelson. Resolution 19-182 regarding the memorandum of understanding with the county on the fire marshal's vehicle. Resolution 19-183 regarding our standard authorization of one-time honorarium payment in the amount of $2,500 in lieu of tuition and expense reimbursement for a patrolman who successfully completed the higher education. Resolution 19-184, authorizing tax cancellation refund of taxes. Motion? Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution 19-185, a resolution authorizing a change order number 2 relating to a contract with Lucas Construction Group for the primary school access road project, which actually includes some additional items that were not part of the original scope and enhances the project now that it's been completed. Motion? So moved. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 186, authorizing a changeover order related to the contract with Seacoast Construction for the English Plaza Streetscape Improvement Project. Motion? So moved. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 187, regarding an amendment to the contract between the borough and the lease of demolition for solid waste recycling pursuant to the state statute. Motion? So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Resolution 19-188, accepting bids and awarding a contract for the 2019 Red Bank Road Program. Motion? So moved. Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 19-189, entering into a month-to-month license with Trinity Episcopal Church to utilize a surface space of 65 West Front Street for senior citizen activities and recreations while repairs are made to the Borough Senior Center. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Mayor, I just have a quick question on this resolution.
Go ahead.
Any idea how long the month for?
Well, month to month is month to month.
Right,
We can cancel at any time, but you mean how
we
long
have
do we anticipate? You mean how long we might anticipate?
Yes.
Okay. Do we know how that,
In my mind, based on the current timeline and how things are progressing, I expect it may be 3 months. It could end a month sooner, or it could end a month later, given certain conditions and once construction starts. But based on the timeline of how things are proceeding right now, I estimate 3 months.
So you were expecting around November, seniors would be back in the season?
Correct. So what they were told is we're shooting for August 1st to start them there. So that would be month 1, September 1. We're going to start month 2, and October 1 starts month 3. And the goal is that by the end of October, they will be ready to move in to the new facility, the upgraded facility.
I don't know.
No.
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Subject to that clarification, is motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19190, authorizing tax credits and refunds totaling $14,552 due to judgment of the tax court. Motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 19191, a resolution fixing the salaries of officers and employees within the Borough of Red Bank for calendar year 2019. Motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19192, authorizing and approving an employment agreement with the Borough and the Chief of Police. Motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 19193, authorizing the utilization of private labor agreements for public works projects undertaken by the Borough in excess of $5 million. Motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? We now move on to discussions and actions, and the Animal Welfare Advisory Committee requested the appointment of a member to the vacant position. I'm moving to appoint Tamara von Hool-Kremer for an unexpired 3-year term ending 12/31/2019. Motion? Second. All in favor? With respect to the environmental commissions, there are some vacancies as well as memberships to the Green Team. The following will be appointed subject to vote of the council. Pablo Rodriguez-Amen as a full member for the unexpired term ending 12/31/2020. Jenna Letter as a full member for the unexpired term ending 12/31/2021. Danelle Johnson as alternate number 1 for an unexpired term ending 12/31/2020. Bob Daddario as an alternate number 2 for the unexpired term ending 12/31/2019. Dave Johnson as a member of the Green Team Subcommittee for the unexpired term ending 12/31/2019. And Colleen Bleiskin as a member of the Green Team Subcommittee for the unexpired term ending 12/31/2019. Motion? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Request from Labarat Jr. and Jackie Stewart for membership in Westside Host Company. Motion? Second. All in favor? Request from Emily Natale, the owner and proprietor of Pearl Street Consignment and Custom Clothing, to install a mural on the exterior west side of 117 Monmouth Street, with approval of the owner of the property. Motion? Second. All in favor?
I have a question though. When will we be receiving the approval from the owner of that building?
We won't be receiving. Once we approve it, then.
I know, but the landlord, he has to be in agreement on that.
Yeah, but normally,
Proposal I get you the workshop, said the landlord has agreed, I just don't.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, she doesn't get the agreement, the landlord saying you're not putting it up. Yeah. We're just saying, normally it's not permissible unless we permit it. And so we're saying you can do it as long as you get the agreement. Special Events Committee recommendations from July 1st are subject to final plan review by Special Events. Request from Navesink Maritime Heritage to hold a paddle in Navesink on September 15th, 2022. Request from Red Bank Classic 5K for their race on Saturday, June 20th, 2020. Request from Red Bank Smiles to hold a 5-year anniversary barbecue at their office at 180 River Street on August 9th. And also request from Visiting Nurse Association to hold a health screening event in lunch break on August the 8th with stationary screen trucks, tables, and live entertainment. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any additional agenda items? I hope not. Okay. Public portion on any items. Ms. Since the list is so long, what's that? Can you make it brief?
Yeah, I can make it brief. Oh, thanks, Mayor. I just actually wanted to thank the DPW team for responding to Monday night's storm where the trees and wires came down, and compliment the OEM team along with the fire department, police department for working together to keep the residents safe during the aftermath of the storm. River Center and the downtown businesses are holding their 65th annual sidewalk sale Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So get out there and shop. Your chance to be one of the savviest shoppers during the summer is on this weekend.
What are you buying?
Sorry?
What are you buying?
Oh, we'll go together.
Okay. Michael?
I'm not going to be brief there, but
I have to be brief. You have to be brief.
Finance Committee met this past Monday. We reviewed the MCIA, the Mountain County Improvement Authority list that our administrator spoke of earlier, right? A little long time ago.
Thank you.
Right, the MCIA?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we reviewed that, and Finance Committee was okay with that. For animal welfare, I want to welcome Tamara von Bull-Kremer to the Animal Welfare Committee. She's been attending meetings for a few months now, official. She's been very enthusiastic and brought a lot of great ideas. I'm looking forward to Tamara's continued input. Red Bank Housing Authority has a new executive director who was hired at the past meeting. His name is Chris Puglisi. He's a Red Bank resident, and he's worked at Long Branch and Asbury Park Housing Authorities in the past, so I welcome him. Look forward to his input in improving our housing for our seniors and our low-income residents. A couple of quick shout-outs. The Two River Little League West 10U team won the District 19 tournament. So TR Two River Little League West is Red Bank, Little Silver, and Shrewsbury. And those kids combined for a Little League, and they're all-stars playing the Little League tournament. And I want to especially congratulate Eric Cohen for being a member of that championship team. So a shout out to him. Also, quick shout out to Bobby Holiday. So Z previously mentioned that when he gave the park presentation for Johnny Jazz about the Waterville station. Well, Mr. Holiday, with his great artistic sense, has taken the little pavement that's in front of the refill station and painted a piano keyboard next to Johnny Jazz Park. So I want to thank Bobby for his ingenuity and thoughtfulness and making that park just that much better.
Michael, he also did the back of the new signboard with musical notes and
right.
You get a chance to go and take a look at it.
Absolutely.
Did a really beautiful job.
Absolutely. That's it, man.
Thank you. Kathy?
I'll just say that the Parks and Rec Committee met last night. Eric unfortunately couldn't be there. Everything is moving really well. 60 campers this summer. Rose was reporting on it. Everything seems to be going well except movies in the park. It rained a couple nights. Also, Jazz in the Park has been canceled, but we're hoping for better weather. And we're discussing a few things for the future. And it was a good conversation.
Thank you.
Oh, and Kathy, Friday there's Jazz in the Park over at Johnny Jazz Park with the rededication.
And also, I believe there is something this Saturday at the T. Thomas Fortune House Jazz as well.
Okay. Awesome.
Nothing.
Sure. Okay.
I just have a few quick things. I just want to say congratulations to the new members of the Red Bank Environmental Commission and Green Team. Once again, congratulations to our new members of Communicators on Patrol. I wanted to thank our fire department for their swift response time to a structure fire at 20 Broad Street. It was a roof fire, and you know, a lot of people are stating that they really appreciate how quickly they responded. It could have gotten much worse, as fires do. And I wanted to just announce that National Night Out this year is going to be Tuesday, August 6th from 5 to 8 p.m. This year, it's actually moving to Count Basie Fields to allow for more room, more activities. We have tons of other nonprofits and people taking part in the night, as well as a lot of our town commissions and committees will be present. It's always a really, really wonderful community event, so we hope you can all make it. Thank you.
Will there be a dunk tank?
Yes. I don't know if I'll be in it.
I'm sorry, Mayor, what happened with the question. I had one more thing. Dog Days, August 12th, Monday, August 12th, will be the second Dog Day put on by the Animal Welfare Committee. The first one was such a blast, we had to do it again. Please, the committee is looking for volunteers, if you're an animal lover, and if you can't volunteer, just bring your pets, let your neighbors know. Fantastic time. Thank you, Mayor.
And Mayor, I'm just going to jump in too. Not to mention, the Indie Street Film Festival kicks off tonight and runs through the 29th. So you can pick up passes at River Center on Broad Street. And Mayor, thank you for helping with the relocation of the seniors this past weekend.
I have one more thing, Mayor. I said the wrong time for National Night Out. I was looking at Neptune's page. It's the same logo. We're much cooler than them. Our time is 6 to 10 p.m. apparently. Is that correct, everybody?
Starts at 7.
Okay. It says 6 to 10 p.m.
Yeah, with the movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's much cooler. I like that. Thank you.
I presume there's no other reports. Thank God. Members of the public. Ms. Viscomi, you're sitting in the front.
Suzanne Viscomi, 25 Cedar Place. Mayor, earlier you said that you guys passed some good government regulations, and that so be it. But my question is, we're lacking follow through. For example, the rainbow that was painted, which is awesome, it's very respectful to the whole Pride event. Ed was always a forefront on that. However, it looks like crap right now. If we're gonna keep it, let's maintain it. If we're just gonna keep it for the month of June, then let's paint over it and get ready for next year. But it looks disrespectful when it's chipped and just, it looks bad. I mean, you want pride is pride, and it looks bad. Again, lack of follow through. Ironically, we're talking about the environment stuff. It's ironic that I have so many pictures of lights on during the day out here in the parking lot. If we want to save energy, why is there a light bright today? It's sunny. I have pictures of lights on during the day when we had that environmental event in the spring, which is kind of ironic because we don't need light during the day. We talk about a good environmental thing again, lack of follow through. Another example is the cigarette butts at the park. There's just, when we were getting ready for Dog Days, I've noticed a plethora of cigarette butts on the ground, lack of follow through. So as many times as we can pass in good, bad, or whatever, however you feel about regulation, we definitely need to have follow through, and that's one of my biggest concerns. Another thing is we spend money on these bike paths. Great, but I almost got hit by a bike when I was putting mail in one of the mailboxes because people are riding their bikes on the sidewalk. So are we wasting our money on bike paths? Or are we not educating people to be using the bike paths? I mean, even on days when it's not traffic, I get it. When there's traffic, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, this town is crazy with drivers. But at 6 in the morning, when there's no cars on the road, there's a bunch of people riding bikes on the sidewalks. And at the same time, you have sometimes kids getting to school at 7, people walking to work, and people riding bikes on the sidewalk. I don't understand. Again, no enforcement. So I think passing this plastic bag thing is trendy and nice, and everyone can take pictures of it, all of it, and be happy. But again, we need follow through, and that's my I guess my list of concerns that I see right now, because Red Bank's an awesome place to live, and we have so much going on here. But I think we talk a good talk, but let's walk a good walk.
Thank you.
And I have pictures. Oh, what did I say?
We accept your representations. We don't have to see pictures.
Well, just, no, one more issue though. We worry about, again, the environmental issue. Everyone talks about wanting to do good environmental issue. Another weird thing I've noticed is people who do not put covers on top of garbage cans and put loose garbage in it, what happens is a nice bad windy day like before, all the garbage is on the street. And now if we're not cleaning our streets, the garbage stays on the street. People are so rude. I even have on video a guy literally took his lunch bag from like McDonald's and threw it out the window. It's on the street. Like, let's enforce the rules that are already in the books. I mean, I should be walking my dog and he'd be picking up food and there's glasses and cans and I really wish we enforced what's on the books.
Thank you, Ms. Viscomi. As usual, you're very eloquent. And normally I don't reply to comments, but I only have 2 quick replies. When you saw the gentleman throw the garbage from his window, you have a cell phone, you record everything. Why don't you take a picture of the license plate and the garbage going out the window, give it to our detectives, and a summons would have been issued. That's number 1.
I have it. I have one.
Then give it to give it to the police department. That's littering. That's a $200 fine. And it's not for the money, it's to teach a lesson. Number 2, you said you were here and the lights were on in the parking lot in broad daylight. We have had for the past 2 years, suggestion as well as comment portions, which can be anonymously placed, right outside that door. You could have, as soon as you were here, you could have written down the lights are on. Why aren't these lights turned off? You're wasting electricity. Would have been attended to. Those lights could have been out in 15 minutes instead of wasting another 5 hours. Just a little comment. When you see things like that, there are ways to attend it instead of, pontificating when it's going to take us another week or 2 weeks to, to try to cure those things. But so we'll get to it. But I appreciate your comments. Allison.
Allison Gregory, 109 Bank Street. It's actually for Parks and Rec, so I don't know if that's you, Eric. My girls and I love Riverside Gardens Park. We love going to lunch at Park Jam. And I was speaking with Charlie briefly recently about the bathrooms never being open except during events. I guess when it's movie night or jazz night. So we're enjoying lunch, we're doing the storyboard, which is amazing. I love that the library does that every week. They change the book. So I go around with my kids. But then my 3-year-old's like, I have to go to the bathroom. And I have to run somewhere quickly to go. When we have these bathrooms, why not utilize them? Especially when we have a restaurant that was approved to be there during lunch and dinner hours.
My understanding, and again, I don't know whether it was open. My understanding is that when the restaurant is open, the bathrooms have to be open. That's my understanding.
They haven't been, but that'd be amazing.
Thank you for bringing us to our attention.
If they could be, yeah. Charlie mentioned that it's only during events. Okay.
That was the intent.
And that'd be amazing.
It's even in the lease.
Okay. And then second, I want to invite all of you and all of the public to enjoy our community garden in front of our house that we have now put up a sign that says community garden. So there's going to be a lot of tomatoes ripen soon, so please come by and pick. Peppers, basil, whatever. And then the third thing is on the management enhancement report that came out last May, the #1 recommendation was to change the form of government in Red Bank. So I guess I wanted, for Z, an update on how that was coming.
That is.
Well, first of all, it's a legislative act by law, and the only way that can be done is 2 ways. Number 1, it could be promulgated by an act of the governing body, as long as there are sufficient votes to move that, or it could be by popular initiative and referendum, which is an initiative and referendum by the citizenry to present a petition. I haven't seen a petition being delivered, and there's been no resolution from members of the governing body.
Mayor, the Lieutenant Governor just signed as acting governor an amendment to that nonpartisan partisan last week. So the rules have changed a bit as well.
The rules on initiative and referendum?
Yeah.
I think so.
It was in the summary that Pam sent out this week.
They require a supermajority now.
Yeah. Yeah, we still have to go through the process. But I think the rules changed is the number of signatures and or actions of the governing body. But I think the procedure is still the same. It's either one or the other.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, like I said, because it was the first thing on that report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Forrest.
I want to thank you for the plastics ordinance, and I was here, I don't know how many years ago, when Councilman DuPont did his failed proposal, and so very glad to see that Kathy Trigger, you got it done, and all of you passed it. I don't know how trending is. Most towns don't have it. You know, the small things we all have to do to change to try to fight climate change and the massive amount of plastic in the ocean, these things all matter, and I want to thank you very much for this action.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Itzel Perez, 105 Locust. First and foremost, so I, like some of you shared today, I came to Red Bank about 15 years ago, and it is incredibly touching to actually see a program put through for the community who struggles to sometimes communicate with police enforcement. We know that we live in troubling times. There is different towns taking different actions, but I've always felt proud to see that Red Bank steps up to the plate and actually does something to reach across the bridge and really engage the community. So I want to thank Councilwoman Chigiano for always making an effort to bring the West Side to the table, as well as everybody on council who supports these measures. Because creating a welcoming environment, I think, is crucial to what Red Bank is. And I'm really, really happy to see that our local police department, as well as chief, is on board with doing this. They may seem like small things, but they mean the world to people. Like somebody shared before, I myself had to learn how to speak English, and I actually had an encounter with local police enforcement when I was young. I accidentally dialed the police number. And it was really, really, really scary because I didn't know what to say and I didn't want to get in trouble, which of course I did, with my parents at least. But it's really nice to know that that is something that is looked at, that is considered, that people are keeping our immigrant community in mind and are being welcoming to it. So thank you, Councilwoman Chigiano, to the chief, to all of you, and I'm, as always, incredibly proud to live in this town, so thank you.
Can you just spell your first name for me?
ITZL.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Larotonda.
Good evening.
The other one.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Alberto La Rotunda. I live on Spring Street, Red Bank. I've come this evening to basically ask two questions. One is, as you are aware, I have presented a few months ago allegations that the town water department is not following the Safe Drinking Water Act, which is a federal law, and I had made specific information available to the mayor and council of the specific parts of the federal law that were not being followed. I have not received any response from the town at this point and would like to know if I am expecting one or not. Two, whether or not the town has begun its testing for lead in the potentially affected homes in the town. Thank you.
The answer to the first question is that the matter has been turned over to our attorney, since it is a legal matter. If and when you get a response, it shall be from the borough attorney. Secondly, with respect to the testing procedures, the borough has been, will continue to follow each and every regulation requirements, both by the state and federal authority.
The question is whether at this point now the town has begun any testing.
You have my answer. We're following the rules. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Woods.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Frank Woods, 92 Harding Road. In reference to the Parks and Recreation Summer Camp program, my nephew He was injured during a park incident during summer camp. I just want to compliment the Parks and Recreation and Oscar, especially, and all the staff. Oscar stayed down at the hospital with my nephew when he was injured until family members could get there. People don't see these things behind the line. I just want to compliment the Parks and Recreation summer camp program, especially Oscar and all the staff that helps out during the summer camp. People really need to keep an eye out and watch what they do. It's incredible, the programs and stuff that goes on through the Parks and Recreation. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. We'll pass it on to them. But the staff is great, as you know, and we've said that all the time. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Brenda Cozy, and I live at 101 Tower Hill Drive in Red Bank. And I've been living in Red Bank for 23 years. Our power is off, and it said it was because of a forced power shortage. Our power has been off since 5:30 this evening, and I just want to know why.
Okay. I think the administrator can fill you in on what's been going on with Jersey Central Power Light since the storm Monday evening, so we'll give you the latest.
Okay, thank
I know I was on the phone with them a couple of times today from Trenton when I was there on a legal matter, and then this afternoon, and I've spoken to some of your neighbors, but the latest, I believe Mr. Shahadi has the information for us.
Okay, because they told me that it would be until Friday, and I'm wondering why.
In response to your question, just for the general public, there's an announcement on the website to actually answer that question, and I'll just read it because it's a matter of concern for such a large community. The Borough of Red Bank has been informed by the Jersey Central Power and Light crews that they are in town working to restore power service. Crews have planned a forced power outage in the area of Prospect Avenue starting on July 4th, 2019 in an effort to restore remaining Red Bank customers without power. The outage may last up to 24 hours. This outage is necessary in order to de-energize downed lines, remove fallen trees, then reinstall utility poles and place new power lines in service. The customers that might be affected are in the vicinity of Prospect Avenue from Harding Road to McLaren Street, which includes Hilltop Terrace, Tower Hill Condos, Navasink Point, John Street, and Harrison Avenue all may be affected. And I would just encourage anybody to please sign up on the website under our community alerts section. There's an opportunity to get emails, text messages, and phone calls so that way we can put out this information for all residents. If you put in your address, we can even geolocate. We can narrow it down to that specific area of Red Bank to provide these notices. There were trees that fell, in layman's terms, there were trees that fell. There's still some service that is being provided, but about 100 people were without power. We have, thanks to the efforts of the mayor and council and the pressure that we've been putting on JCP&L, they did come over here to prioritize this. Normally this would have not received any attention until Friday. The way JCP&L works is they address larger clusters of outages first before they get to smaller clusters. This does nobody any good to know, but we actually fare better than most municipalities. There's nearby towns with several thousands of people out of power. So what JCP&L likes to do is deal with bigger outages and clusters first, and then tend to the smaller ones. So we were looking at restoration up until about Friday, but because also this circuit touches our water treatment plant and radio communications equipment, they came in here earlier than that. The supervisor assessed the situation at around 3 o'clock today and deemed that in order for them to remove the trees from the streets and to make the repairs and to remove the downed poles, they had to de-energize the lines. So in order to restore power, sounds counterintuitive, you have to shut off power for a lot of people, and so that's what happened. They're planning to do that through this evening with the assistance of our public works crews as well. We're going to help clear the roadway, then they're going to set the new poles in place, and then from until about 11 p.m. this evening, and then after that it would take about 24 hours for the power to come back on. So that's what they've told us. They've given us some information already with estimates of times that have turned out not to be entirely accurate, so I preface and caution everybody not to hold these times to gospel, but that's what we're looking at for the time being.
So, see, I also imagine that the telephone lines came down with those poles as well.
I imagine they did, but I don't know that those will necessarily be out of service. I'm not sure. All I saw today was JCP&L crews, but I imagine they'll coordinate with Verizon or Comcast and any other utility companies to come out there and reset their lines.
All right, because I just want to point out one thing. It's difficult for people to go to the website if they don't have internet or power.
Unfortunately, we live in a day and age where a lot of cell phones exist, so and you can show
I'm generally concerned if there are older residents,
Yes.
because they're not as technologically savvy as the rest of us.
Yep, absolutely.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Mr. Boku.
Hello? Mr. Mayor, you and I had an opportunity to make a presentation when they had a memorial for Stafford Thompson. Unfortunately, Mr. Violet wasn't able to stay to the end, so you missed quite an interesting presentation. And sometimes the turner, you know, when I'm speaking with you, Mr. Mayor, if somebody does not know the relationship that you and I have, might probably think that it's a contentious relationship. But, you know, in the interest, I see you shaking your head, and I hope everybody else is seeing it too.
It's not contentious.
Was that?
It's not contentious.
That's correct, yeah. I just want the public to know. And you and I made a joint presentation, and basically you assured the public that you're not offended, you know, when you're challenged. And a lot of times when we come out here, you know, whether I'm coming on behalf of the NAACP or coming here by myself, the whole idea is what you eloquently stated a while back about the First Amendment. First Amendment is to elicit debate, conversation. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but out of that, we have growth. Now, one of the reasons I'm coming back here tonight is just to figure out a way to make it easy for people like Mr. Lau Rotundo, you know, who is a member of the NAACP, has presented some of the issues, a way for us to communicate and address some of those issues before they become things that have to be dealt with the courts of law. You know, right now, I don't believe that we have that. And any opportunity that we can have to make that better would be something that would move this town in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody else? Okay, we have a need to adjourn to executive session for the purposes of litigation on 2 matters, and we will not be taking formal action this evening. So we will come back after executive session and just adjourn formally at that time. Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Thank you all for coming. I know it's been a long night.